The Peloponnesian War was a 27-year-long conflict fought between Athens and Sparta, two powerful city-states in ancient Greece, from 431 BC to 404 BC. The war is named after the Peloponnesian Peninsula, where Sparta was located. The war had its roots in the growing tensions between Athens, a democratic city-state that had become a dominant naval power, and Sparta, an oligarchic city-state that had a powerful army. The conflict began when Sparta and its allies declared war on Athens, which had formed an alliance with several other city-states known as the Delian League. The war was fought in two phases, with periods of truces in between. The first phase of the Peloponnesian War began in 431 BC, when Sparta and its allies declared war on the Delian League. Sparta invaded Attica, the region around Athens, and laid siege to the city. Athens responded by relying on its navy to harass Sparta and its allies, and by expanding its control over the Aegean Sea. The war saw several major battles, one of which was the Battle of Pylos. It was fought in 425 BC and took place on the island of Sphacteria near Pylos in the southwestern Peloponnese. The Athenian general, Demosthenes, launched a surprise attack on the Spartan forces stationed on the island, which consisted of a small garrison of hoplites. The Athenians successfully landed on the island and built a fortification to prevent the Spartans from leaving. The Spartans were trapped on the island and suffered from lack of food and water. The Spartans made several attempts to break out of the fortification, but were unable to do so due to the skillful tactics of the Athenians. The Athenians eventually forced the Spartans to surrender, which was a major blow to Spartan prestige and military reputation. The Battle of Pylos was a significant victory for Athens, and it helped to boost morale and strengthen its position in the war. The battle also highlighted the weakness of the Spartan military system and tactics, which relied heavily on hoplite infantry and did not adapt well to unexpected situations. The first phase of the war ended in 421 BC with the signing of the Peace of Nicaeus, a truce that lasted for 6 years. However, the peace did not last, as both Athens and Sparta continued to engage in actions that violated the terms of the treaty. The second phase of the Peloponnesian War began in 415 BC, when Athens launched a disastrous expedition to Sicily. The voyage was aimed at conquering the island of Sicily and gaining control over its rich resources, but it ended in a crushing defeat for Athens and the loss of much of its navy and army. The expedition was led by Athenian general Alcibiades, who was initially successful in his attempts to gain the support of Sicilian cities. However, the expedition was plagued by internal disagreements and delays, which allowed the Syracusan forces to strengthen their defences. The Athenians eventually launched a full-scale attack on Syracuse, but were unable to breach the city's defences. The Athenian navy suffered a major defeat in a sea battle, and many Athenian soldiers were killed or captured. The Athenians were forced to retreat, but were pursued by the Syracusan forces and suffered further losses. The Sicilian expedition was a turning point in the Peloponnesian War, as it weakened Athens and gave Sparta an opportunity to strengthen its position. The expedition also had a significant impact on the political situation in Athens, as it led to the downfall of Alcibiades and the rise of the conservative oligarchs. The capture of Athens in 404 BC marked the end of the second phase of the Peloponnesian War. Sparta had been gradually gaining the upper hand over Athens and had weakened its navy and disrupted its food supply. The Spartan general Lysander led a blockade of Athens and cut off its access to the sea. Athens was eventually forced to surrender, and the Spartan army entered the city. The Athenians were forced to accept Spartan terms, which included the dismantling of its walls, the surrender of its fleets, and the acceptance of Spartan-appointed rulers. This marked the end of Athenian dominance in Greece and the beginning of Spartan hegemony. The capture of Athens had a profound impact on the political and cultural landscape of Greece. It led to a period of Spartan dominance, but also paved the way for the rise of other powers, such as Thebes and Macedon, who would eventually challenge Spartan hegemony. The defeat also marked the end of the Golden Age of Athens, which had been a period of great cultural and intellectual achievements.